Good morning, folks. Hello. Good morning, Q. Hello, Ash. I thought you were growing grass today. That was indeed the plan, is to grow some grass, but I thought that, I would like to go back and romance my bookworm a little bit more. So, well, I could have hung around and vibed, or I could have done some to-dos. Thought I would just vibe here instead. No, that's all. How are you doing today? How are folks? Just back to it, I think. Oh, actually, grab my dango friend. A soft pal. I woke up about 4 hours ago. Good morning. Hasaku-san, konnichiwa. じゃなくておはようございます。It is a week. I had to run damage control at work today, so that was annoying. Damage control? Did some disaster happen? Some small disaster. Hopefully small. Hope that everything will pan out okay. But yes, I thought about what I could be doing on stream today, and well, there's a few things that I wanted to draw for this upcoming week. Can't help but feel like I don't want to do them on stream just yet. Maybe I should keep them a surprise. Maybe we'll see. Took me 4 hours to clear, so yeah, earning your paycheck, sadly, I see. I hope it doesn't happen again. But yes, anyway. So, we are once again in the Katawa Shoujo world. Here to what's happened the last time? Played not that long ago, so we have mostly been spending time with Lily and Hanako, who is quite timid. So, in terms of romancing her in this route, Hanako in this route, we very much have to be gentle. have to be as gentle and careful as possible, I suppose. Nods. I do think that she's really lovely, Hanako, but I understand that our main protagonist, Hisao, he is still I think there's still a few things that he finds awkward in dealing with, in quotes, in dealing with people who are different, as in different according to the definition of needing to go to this school, pretty much. School for the disabled. I think that in time he'll sort out his issues, probably in the same way that he did in Shizune/Misha's route. But I think because we're still early in the route, we're kind of still waiting for that development to happen. I mean, for work, unfortunately, sometimes it's like that. I hope that it wasn't too much. Hope that you don't get any pay cuts. Nods. Shall we go on though? So, alrighty. Starting a new day. This morning I awoke covered in sweat. I think it's pretty warm right now in the game. By the time the student body starts leaving their dorms for breakfast and morning duties, the sun has taken full effect. Oddly, that puts me in high spirits. What day is it today? It's not even 8, yet I feel that this day is going to be one of those pleasant, tranquil, warm ones. If I weren't at a school that considered every absence from class as a sign of a life-threatening situation, I'd consider skipping the whole day and just relaxing in the school gardens. Yes, today will be a genuinely lazy day. For a second I stop in mid-stretch and consider the nurse's warning about exercise. Maybe I should have kept up those morning jogs. My extra bun funds? It's okay. Bun doesn't expect any funds. I'm very grateful for the funds, but I also I feel guilty because I don't provide very much, you know? I don't have a lot to give necessarily. Just doing bun things. Running with someone like Emmy might have been a little testing, but if I worked at my own pace... who am I kidding? I couldn't stick to something like that without some kind of motivation. Screen and animation, hello, welcome. It's not like I sit around all day. The walk to and from the convenience store counts as exercise, right? Especially the walk back up the hill. I mean, if I was Hisa, I would count that as exercise, but not. Yeah, it's no big deal. Compared to months lying in a hospital bed, I'm getting plenty exercise. It seems that I'm not alone in my appreciation of the day. Nearly every member of the class is glancing through the window and into the tantalizing sky. Even the steadfast Shizune seems to lack her usual vigor for schoolwork. Misha, as brazen as ever, has even unbuttoned the top buttons of her shirt and is fanning herself with a notebook. I must have been staring, as she's now sticking her tongue out at me. However, she shows no signs of halting her efforts, nor is she trying to hide the fact. The lunch bell seems to catch everyone by surprise, and the class empties at a much slower pace than usual. I feel like the sense of calm which you provide to me is invaluable to me. At least it has helped me get through this rather hard year. I'm sorry that the year's been hard. I imagine that it's been a hard year for many people, whether or not they say so. I'm sure that you're not alone in facing hard times. I'm grateful that you take any solace in my company. I've been thinking about my generally grass-growing stream contents. I mean, I'd said that we'd grow grass today, and I said that it would end up being a pretty vibing stream. But realistically, that's all of my streams. All of my streams are vibing streams. Aside from when I played Fall Guys with Hal, I dare say that the note of most of my streams is very much the same. Nonetheless, the heat seems to be draining the need to rush from everyone. Well, almost everyone. Hisa.
Hey there, Hanako. What can I do for you today?
Hanako already has a lunch bag in hand.
I don't have to be a detective to work out where this is going.
Would you like to have lunch with us again? I brought enough for everyone.
Awesome. You don't have to be so stiff about it, though.
Oh, right.
I take it we're going to the tea room?
Please. Lily said she'll meet us in there, so we should...
Should?
Should go ahead together?
Sounds like a plan. This heat has made me pretty hungry.
Hanako breathes a sigh of relief, and I gather my things together. As usual, the aura of the tea room is refreshing, feeling isolated from the rest of the world. Then again, the usual din of the school seems to be a bit subdued, most likely from the laziness promoted by heat exhaustion. Hanako slowly spreads her food on the table, intently focusing on every little movement, as if she's trying to keep her mind off other thoughts. It's not much, but I can tell from her demeanor that she has prepared everything with utmost care.
I guess Lily isn't here yet. Should we start without her?
She'll be here soon. Hanako struggles with the lid of the container of rice.
Here, let me help with that.
I take the container from Hanako's hands and try to force open the lid. Try as I might, it seems wedged shut.
Let me guess. Did you put this in while the rice was still hot?
Yes. I was in a rush. I put the container on the table between us.
I thought so. Looks like this is wedged shut. We'll need some hot water to get it open. But that could be a pain in here. We'd get water everywhere.
Well, in that case, how about I contribute to today's meal? At the door, Lily smiles while holding up a bag stocked with various buns and bread rolls. I can't help but do the same. Since you two had a change of plans because of me, I thought I would bring a little something.
Oh, thanks, Lily. Here, let me get that for you.
With a little guidance, Lily's bread assortment joins Hanako's riceless platter. I hastily make some tea to complete the picture.
Well, I'm looking forward to this.
As I take a bite, I notice Hanako is trying her hardest not to look like she's looking at me. It's nothing special, but then again, I can't really complain. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to cooking for myself.
Not bad. Guess this is made with the stuff you bought yesterday?
Yes. Hanako's eyes shout at me, begging for some kind of feedback.
Well, it was clearly worth it. Thanks, Hanako.
I wanted to show you this after yesterday.
It's okay. I was just a little surprised at the stuff you were buying.
Hanako's always liked to experiment when it comes to food. I think it's good most of the time. While Lily's smile doesn't waver, the slight change in her tone tells me that things have not gone so well in the past. And it's not like Hanako has many people to sample her cooking. Hang on, was Lily waiting for me to go first? She didn't start eating until after I said it was alright. Her cheeky grin tells me this was a deliberate action on her part. I'll have to try and work out how to get one over her in the future to make up for this.
Well, it's good, and that's all that counts, right?
Right. Lily, satisfied at not being the first to sample Hanako's creation, begins to consume the food in front of her. Oh, Lily! So smart. I find myself staring as I watch her chopsticks gently touch the plate, their tips delicately poking and tracing to quickly ascertain the positions of the food as she dexterously picks it up. One might think she were a child playing with her food if not for the situation, though she does it with such care and thoughtlessness that it's obvious this is simply how she eats this kind of meal. Not wanting to miss out, I start filling up myself. Hanako takes a different approach, waiting until Lily and I have our hands clear before quickly snatching up her share. Before long, the containers are empty, save for the still shut rice container. Thank you, Hanako. That was filling. No, thank you for the bread.
Yes, it would have been a disaster if not for that.
You're both welcome. But now I must be getting back. It's far too easy to be late after eating here.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think we'll just clean up here and then head off.
Well then, good day. Lily leaves, her cane tapping away down the quiet hallway. Hanako and I quickly pack our things and stay seated, waiting for the bell. Together, we stare out the window and into the endless azure sky. If it weren't for the pealing of the bells, I would have sworn that time had stopped. The urge to skip class rises in my gut. I shoot a glance at Hanako, who shows no signs of moving either. Not just yet. The interval between the warning bells and the end of lunch bells passes in the blink of an eye.
We really should go. People will freak out and start a search party if we skip.
Hanako sighs. You're right. Slowly she rises to her feet and I follow suit. Silently, we make our way up the old stairs to the 3rd floor and then to our classroom. At the door, I take point and open the door ahead of Hanako, bowing my head down in apology in advance.
I'm sorry we're late, teacher.
I am greeted not by stern words, nor by an angered instruction not to take my seat, but simply by the silence created by 15 or so students trying not to laugh. Muto, ever tardy, has yet to arrive. However, the fact that Hanako and I have arrived together is blatantly obvious. Make that about 14 students trying and 1 student failing. The love is returned!
Yeah, thanks. You can calm down now.
I step through the door and realize that Hanako is firmly pressed against my back, hiding herself from the class. Oh, poor girl. With my steps coming closer to my desk, she eventually breaks from me and stiffly walks to her own. Her efforts to mentally block everyone's presence from her mind are written fairly clearly on her face. Quickly checking the door for any signs of the teacher's arrival, I make a trip to Hanako's desk and whisper in her ear.
Don't worry about Misha. She's always like this. I enjoyed myself today. Don't sweat it, okay?
Hanako nods her head behind her folded arms but still doesn't show her face. I yearn to stay and console her more, but Muto picks this exact moment to enter the class halfway through his lecture as if he started it in the hallway.
Which of course is directly proportional to the charge, but inversely proportionally to the square of the distance.
He's so engrossed in his speech that he doesn't even notice me sneaking back into my seat from Hanako's desk. While Muto's spiel rambles on, Misha leans over to me. The teacher may not have noticed your tardiness, but I did.
Well, that much is obvious from the show you just put on.
I've been instructed to let you off the hook for today, but only on one condition.
Oh, and what would that be?
You have to help us this afternoon. I crane my neck to look over Misha's shoulder. She's as conveniently not making eye contact with me.
Fine, just for today. I've already told you I'm not joining the council, remember?
Of course, doing so could be considered... I consider it...
She looks down at her notebook, obviously looking for a place in her script.
Under duress and hence would be against regulations.
How very strange of you to be considerate of the regulations now.
Things should be done by the book. It's just that the book hasn't been written for every situation, so there are times when it can be ignored.
And yet you two wonder why no one else wants to be in the student council.
After poking her tongue out at me, Misha returns to her workbook and we battle our way through the latter half of the school day. Before I can even stand up, Misha and Shizune have placed their hands on both my shoulders.
Hey, I said I'd help out. Damn.
This is just insurance, Isao. Hidden insurance. Isao... Hanako timidly tries to leave the room by circling around us, and I suddenly realize that this may be my one chance to escape.
Oh, hey, Hanako, what's up?
Hey, what makes you think you've got time to chat?
Oh, relax. This won't take long. Sorry, Hanako, you were saying?
I was going to go to the library and I thought... Hanako's thumbs dance around each other and her eyes flit around the room looking everywhere but at us. Sorry, Hanako, but Hisao has to come with us. He's got work to do. Oh, but you can help too if you'd like. So, how about it, Hisao?
I've done enough work for the council already. Or what do you think, Hanako? What do you think, Hanako? What do you say, Hanako? If we all help it shouldn't take long at all. Hanako's fidgeting answers my question before she can even form the words. I really need to go. Well, that was to be expected. Looks like it's just me and the council girls again. It's easier to resign myself to another afternoon's work in the small council office. I'll catch up with you later, okay? Okay. Oh, bye. Bye, sweet. Well, at least I asked her for her opinion. Right, now that farewells are over, it's work time. Misha and Shizune frog march me to the student council office, never once letting go of my shoulders. I feel a little bad for ditching Hanako like this, but if this is the price of getting Misha off her back, so be it. So then, what are we up to today? Debrief. Isn't that supposed to happen after something? Yep. We have to collect all of the information from the festival so that Shi-chan can debrief the teachers. Shizune drops a large pile of paperwork on the desk in front of me and smiles succinctly. You need to sort those out into 2 piles. One for financial stuff like receipts, one for feedback, one for positive feedback, maybe one for things that look like they could be problems next year, one for problems that probably won't be able to be fixed. That's a few more than 2 piles. Oh, right. Yeah, I thought it would only be 2 piles. My bad. Right. While I'm doing this, what will you two be doing? Well, we missed lunch because we were collecting all of these reports, so we're going to go get some food. Why didn't you just sort them out while you were collecting them? Thankfully, my self-defense mechanism kicks in and prevents me from opening my mouth and further worsening my situation. How is that fair? I was fretting over the unfair distribution of work so much that I didn't notice that Shizune had kept on signing. If it weren't for Misha's outburst, I probably wouldn't have noticed it all. Shizune seems to be delivering a fairly long string of commands to Misha, and none of them look pleasant. Reaching a conclusion, Misha signs briefly back to Shizune and then sits down at the desk next to me. Shizune waves to the both of us before disappearing out the door. What was that all about? Shi-chan was worried that you'd get it all wrong unless you were supervised. And since she can't tell you how you're messing things up, she's making me stay. Oh, bummer. I wanted to go with Shi-chan. But she's going to bring us back some food. How good is that? Misha's flippancy is out of this world, from down in the dumps to on top of the world over some calories. It's hard to imagine that anyone could operate at that level. Well, it could have been worse. So what are we supposed to be doing? Collation. I gather that. Well, let's just start making piles. We'll work out what the piles mean later. Right. We start to separate all of the papers into increasingly complex piles. At first it's just simple categories: financial feedback, incident reports. Then they split apart into the good and bad reports, and further still until it starts to look like we've just thrown the papers onto the desk. This is hopeless. Huh? Why? We're doing what we were told, right? Yes, but it looks like we're just making a mess. No, I think we got a lot done. Shi-chan will be able to work out the rest from here. So I think we can stop about here then. It's almost as if Misha's common sense left the room with Shizune. Still, there's no point in arguing. Anyway, what's the deal with you and Hanako? Deal?
You were hanging out with her today, weren't you? Have there been any fireworks, any gossip that you're withholding from me?
If I told you about my own circumstances, it wouldn't be gossip, would it?
I guess not.
We're just friends, I guess. Why are you so interested? I thought you and Shizune didn't like her.
It's not really like that. You know Shi-chan and Lily don't get along well. And since you can't really get Hanako away from Lily, we don't talk to her much. But that doesn't mean that I can't be concerned for her.
What is there to be concerned about?
Well, she never hangs out with anyone else, right? It's no good, Hi-chan.
If Shizune and Lily dislike each other because their personalities are different, then I hate to think how Misha and Hanako would get along.
I mean, in one way or the other, we're all in the same boat here, right?
Well, I guess.
This one time, when she left class halfway through, Shi-chan went to the teacher and asked what was going to be done about it. He said that every student here has special needs and that Shi-chan shouldn't worry herself about it. Hanako never does any group work, she just runs off. Isn't that enough to be concerned about?
I guess you're right. She still hardly says a word when we're talking.
Well, that's more than I've been able to do. Shi-chan and I both tried when she started, but she got scared and ran off.
I considered telling Misha that exactly the same thing happened with me, but she seems caught up in thought. Listening to Misha without Shizune's influence is interesting.
I think she needs to realize that people here don't care what she looks like, and that she can trust us.
Well, this is an important lesson for our protagonist to learn as well. If I can say so myself.
If she could, I'd feel a lot better about her.
The real Misha's lovely. I don't know if you were around for the later parts of the Shizune route, but I genuinely think that Misha is extremely lovely. And while she doesn't get her own proper official route, she's a great side character in an entirely different way from Kenji Potter. I think this is the longest I've watched Misha without seeing a sign. When she's with Shizune, she is constantly waving her hands about, explaining the world to Shizune. That amount of effort probably places a strain on even an agile mind. And let's face it, Misha isn't the world's brightest spark. Well, I'll keep an eye on her for you. But you should probably apologize for earlier. I don't think Hanako's cut out for that kind of joke.
Oh,
Mario, g'day?
I didn't even notice. Sorry.
Don't say it to me, just mention it to her.
What rude. Alright, the first thing tomorrow, I'll speak to her.
Good. A cacophony from the heralds the return of Shizune. I guess she can't really tell how much noise she's making.
Oh, Shi-chan, you're back.
Shizune appears, completely laden with goods from the convenience store.
There was some surplus left from the festival. Since this is officially festival business, I've splurged a little. Nice idea, Shi-chan. 10 points.
Is that really allowed?
For someone who refuses to join us, you seem to take an unhealthy interest in the politics of this council. I shall punish your insolence by rationing your portion of the feast.
Fine, I get it.
Misha slides the multiple stacks of paper to one side to make room for the avalanche of food she's now spreading out. As I watch my hard yet misdirected work become wasted, I realize that it's little wonder why these two need help. The convenience store meal isn't overly tasty, but at the very least, it's filling. Thanks for helping today. Most of the time we just make up the reports for the staff. This year we can at least make up some relevant headings on the debris.
Are you sure this isn't a corrupt organization?
Not at all, not at all. We are by the book. It's not our fault if the book isn't specific enough.
I thought that was the definition of corruption.
You think too much.
You know what? You're probably right. Anyway, I must be off. That is, if I'm allowed to leave.
Your work is indeed insufficient. You may leave.
Well, thank you. You know, if you stress the free meal side of things over the endless workload side, you'd probably end up with more recruits.
You might just have a point.
Well, think about it. And think about what we talked about. You don't have to tell that to Shizune if you don't want.
What? Oh, alright. I'll try to see her tomorrow. Good night, Hichan.
Night, Nisha. Shizune.
Chirping birds. Normally this would be a good time to reflect upon the beauty of nature, but it is 6 a.m. Covering my head with the pillow, I slam my face into the mattress, hoping that the impact will send me instantly back to sleep.
Futile.
I toss and turn, but sleep simply won't return to me.
Alright, nature. You've won. See? I'm getting up now.
The lack of sleep weighs my mind down, and there's only one remedy for this: a nice hearty breakfast. It'd be nice to be the first person here, to be the first to dig into a piping hot pile of food, to sit wherever I desire. It would have been nice. But even my exceptionally early start has put me behind the most diligent students. I guess there are quite a few people that have early starts here, for one reason or another. A group of students in sports clothes huddle around one table, eagerly discussing game plans between inhaling great gulps of food. Scattered around the hall are a number of bleary-eyed students, probably suffering from the same element as myself. Noisy birds. And of course, there are the people that actually enjoy getting up this early, the ones with their bags stuffed with textbooks and completed homework. It's hard not to despise people like that, even more so when you're tired yourself. Picking out a familiar face from the thin crowd, I head towards the nearest table. Lily sits alone, delicately feeling her way around a small plate of eggs with her fork. It's almost a shame to interrupt her in her clockwork movements. I wonder is this how a blind person zones out? Simply moving in predetermined patterns learned over the years, just like how a sighted person would eat while reading a newspaper.
Good morning, Lily. I didn't expect you to be here this early.
You startled me. I didn't know you took breakfast this early.
I don't. This is an exception to the rule. I'd greatly prefer to be late to school than early to breakfast.
Lily gives a small sigh at my admitted tardiness as I begin eating my food. It doesn't take long for her to lapse back into her previous mindless nibbling. Each short motion lacks energy. I suppose this is similar to letting your eyes wander while performing any ordinary chore. But after a few repetitions of the find food, eat food cycle, Lily puts down her fork and dabs her lips with a napkin. Isao, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Damn. All I want is a little food and about 4 hours of sleep, and nobody says, "Can I ask you a question for a simple question?" Sure.
Do you think of Hanako as a friend? This seems like a leading question.
I guess so. Why do you ask?
No real reason. I do have another question, though. Why is it that you think of her as a friend? This is well above my level. What is she expecting from me?
I'm not really sure. I guess it's because she's a little different in the way she deals with people.
Since I've known her, she hasn't really connected with anyone. She doesn't seem interested in other people, and I think people are a little scared off by her appearance.
Really? I thought that kind of thing was, well, discouraged here. Discriminating and such.
If I were to put it one way... She furrows her brow in thought, a move which makes me slightly anxious as to what she's plucking from her mind. I'd say that you're a little naive. Naive? I'd be insulted if not for the slightly cynical grin on her face.
I see.
While Yamaku has a stronger sense of community compared to other schools, it's far from being free of conflict. Rules cannot remove human nature after all, only suppress it. That's something I've noticed actually. Just little things, like how certain people and cliques avoid each other in the hallways. It's no different than my old school, really. Even Lily and Shizune could be considered bitter rivals, even though they both seem like fairly accepting people. Well, at least the Misha-tinted Shizune does. Who knows what actually goes on with her fingers and behind her glasses.
I guess you're right, but when I first came here, everything was a bit of a shock. I kept on making mistakes, or at least thinking I was making mistakes. Like when we first met and I said, "I see" to you. I didn't know if that was considered rude or anything, so I just tried to... just put it in the back of my mind. Treating people any differently and that kind of thing. So I didn't. I told myself that Hanako and you and everyone else was just normal, and I tried to ignore the obvious. I talked to Hanako as if she were any other person, and so we became friends. At least, that's how I think it happened. But you know, I feel guilty just from saying something like that aloud. As if it took extra effort to think of Hanako or you as, or anyone here as normal people. I don't think that's right.
Hisa, I think you are naive, but I also think that you are a good person. It is perhaps one of your better traits.
I suppose I can take that as a compliment.
Tell me, are you free tonight?
If you don't count homework, then I'm as free as a breeze.
In that case, would you care to join myself and Hanako for tea?
I don't really have that much money at the moment, so going out isn't really...
Oh, I didn't mean going out, just here, this evening.
You can access the classrooms in the evening here?
Oh, hi Ironheart, just join them for tea. Nods, nods, nods. No, that's not what I meant. Hanako and I often use my room for tea parties together. Please, feel free to drop by after dusk.
Sure. I see no problem with that. What's your room number?
225. Room 25 on the second floor.
Okay, sure.
Sus? Why is it sus? Well then, I'd best be off. I have class representative duties to attend to after all. Until this evening, Yuzal.
Yeah, catch you later.
Hang on, was I just invited to a girl's room? After hours? Is that even allowed? There is the curfew here, but I've never heard any rules about visitors in the dorm rooms. Even still, this is enough to get my sleep-deprived brain jump-started. Add that to a lukewarm breakfast and you have one hell of a pick-me-up. I grudgingly go to class, still a little excited at the prospect of breaking the rules. I feel a little like a kid planning to sneak out of his window at night. Well, maybe that's going a little too far, but when you compare an invitation to a party to 6 or so hours of lectures, I know which one wins. Azimuth, hello, sneaking around dark. Ixa. Nods. Let's do it. I mean, Lily is the epitome of prim and poised Ojo-sama, right? So when she's like, would you like to come to my room with my friend after hours, it does feel extremely scandalous, doesn't it? Misha and Shizuna do little to relieve my boredom either. For once, they seem determined to actually complete Muto's assignments. Nevertheless, the day eventually winds to a close. I hurry back to my room to wash up and comb my hair. Thankfully, I don't run into Kenji. Before long, I am leaving the boys' dorm. I nervously rap on the door marked 225, checking my watch once again. Is that you, Hisa? The door is open. You can come in. Lily's voice lilts through the door and soothes my nerves. This is the first time I've been invited to a girl's room after dark. Even though I know there is no ulterior motive behind this invitation, doesn't stop my mind running wild with possibilities. One guy, 2 girls in a dorm room with a tea set. When I put it like that, it sounds a little dodgy. Giving a small sigh to steady myself, I gingerly put my hand on the handle and open the door, craning my head to see inside. Oh, girls! The door opens completely and I catch my first glimpse of Lily's room. Her furniture looks almost antique, but the bare walls and flat surfaces are barely decorated at all. In the center of the room sits a low table, where I see a small tea set at rest. Excuse me just a moment. It seems that everything in this room has its place, possibly excepting the several piles of books stacked up against the wall. My sense of vision isn't the only one to be stimulated. The faint smell of some... Sorry. Hold on. The faint smell of something can be picked up in the air. Nail polish, perfume, makeup. It's hard to describe in any other way than girly. My eyes finish their quick sweep of the room before returning their position onto the girls. Lily sits next to the small table wearing very dark blue pajamas. Dark blue pajamas with shorts that show off plenty of her alluring pale legs. Opposite to her, Hanako sits adorned in a conservative light pink gown. Her hands are firmly fixed between her legs, her shoulders forward, and her head down as if trying to hide herself in it. It'd be easy for her to do, it looks about 2 sizes too big for her. Waves of flannel flow from her frame, making her look like a child playing dress-up in her parents' clothes. She looks up to confirm my identity, and the beginnings of a thin smile creep across her face before vanishing so fast that I can't be sure they were ever there. There's no point in you standing in the doorway, Hisao. I take a step into the room, closing the door behind me. Truly scandalous. My. I'm afraid this really is a small room for the 3 of us. Would you like to take a seat? I slowly walk to the table and sit down, trying my hardest not to disturb anything along the way. I also can't help but steal a quick glance into Lily's top as I sit. To be robbed of sight would be a most terrible fate. Well now, how about some tea? Hanako, could you please pour? Sure. So, would you like...
I would love some tea. Do you need a hand?
No, I'm fine. Thank you. Lily finds it difficult to resist a smile at her companion's nervousness, something I can't really blame her for.
Been a tiring day?
Yeah. I relax at my place opposite of the cabinet. To my left is the blue-clad Lily, and to my right sits the pink Hanako. tea! The tea set on the table looks cute as well as practical, painted red with a floral motif. It looks odd when contrasted with Lily's plain but generally sophisticated looking furniture. Which leads me to think that Hanako might have picked it out. There's a slight ting when Hanako accidentally clips the teapot on a cup as she's pouring. She breathes in sharply. She must be really nervous, as it's not the kind of thing anyone would worry about. Hanako quivers at her mistake. It's okay, Hanako. There's no need to be nervous. Hanako seems to find some confidence in Lily's reassuringly soft-spoken words and deftly pours the next 2 cups. Here you are. You saw... Lily... Hanako carefully places a cup and saucer in front of Lily and myself. I could get used to service like this. Thank you, Hanako.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Lily searches for her cup, and upon finding it, sips delicately. I do the same. This tea tastes somewhat better than the tea we usually have at school.
This is nice. It's so different from any tea I had before.
Looks like you picked the right one, Hanako. You've done well, even if it was a bold move. Hanako's smile returns redoubled. Even with her blighted face, her shy smile couldn't be called anything but cute. I'm glad you like it. Hanako, finally beginning to relax, sips from her cup. I think back to my chat with Misha the other day. Is Hanako's behavior something to be concerned about, or is she just shy? And then there was Lily earlier this morning. The concern from both of them seemed to be genuine, and they know the situation better than I. But really, how could I possibly help? I'm no plastic surgeon, so I can't really help her appearance. Nor am I a psychologist who can make her more sociable. So what the hell do Lily and Misha want me to do? It's frustrating. Hanako and I are quickly becoming friends on our own accord. And because of that, it's like everyone wants me to solve all her problems. And I have no idea how to do that. No one can cure my heart, nor Lily's eyes, nor anyone who's here in this school. However, I see no harm in becoming better friends with Hanako. Now that she's warming up to me, I kind of enjoy hanging out with her. So, Hisa, are you enjoying yourself? Lily's words break me out of my reverie, and I take a second to reconsider where I am. I'm in a room with 2 girls in their bedclothes. This is something to be enjoyed.
Yeah, it's relaxing. Almost like I'm not in the school anymore. Do you do this often?
Quite often, but not as often as we take tea in the school building. Considering they do that nearly every day, that's not a big surprise. As I move to take another sip from my teacup, I find it sadly empty.
That was delicious. Thank you, Hanako, Lily.
You're welcome. Yes, you're most welcome, Yusa. It's nice to have a third person here.
Well, anytime you need someone to fill that position, I'm always available. Always.
One must be sure to get one's point across in these circumstances. Lily lets loose a yawn which she unsuccessfully hides with her hand. Pardon me. I think I'm a little tired. I think we're all a little tired. My, how astute we are tonight, Hanako. We really should head to bed. We'll have class tomorrow.
Yeah, I should go.
Thank you for your presence, Yusal. Thanks. You'll come again?
Not even a whole army could stop me.
I'm impressed by your determination, Yusal.
By the way, you're right. We'd best get going.
I stand up and make for the door. Hanako gingerly stands up behind me. I stop and face her.
Are you coming with me?
Hanako instantly blossoms into full blush. No, no, not this room. Isn't...
It's okay. I was only joking.
Okay. Good night. Good night, Hanako. Good night, Hisao.
Night all.
And with that, our tea party finishes. I'm still not sure what it is that Lily wants me to do for Hanako, but I don't want to let her down. I wait until the doors close behind us before turning to Hanako.
Hey, Hanako, you know, you don't have to be nervous around me or anything. I mean, we're friends, right?
Right. We're friends.
If you ever want to hang out or anything, just let me know. We still need to have that chess rematch, remember?
Sure. But I don't think you'll win.
It wouldn't be any fun if it was easy.
Hanako seems to give a muted laugh, but she could have just as easily been exhaling. Good night, Hisao. With that, Hanako quickly retreats into her room located next to Lily's. I start to walk back to my dorm, but the simple act of walking seems to drain me of my energy. I barely make it to my room before I'm hit by a wave of exhaustion. I kick off my shoes, fall into bed, and fall asleep by the time my head hits the pillow. He's in! He's in! Indeed! Ooh. He's all living the dream. Get to have tea with girls in their pajamas. My. I pull my door closed, ready for another day of classes. Zero, g'day. All of the head pats.
Sleep well?
Kenji's sudden arrival makes me jump, and I narrowly avoid butting heads with him. I know he has poor eyesight, but he knows who I am now. Does he still have to stand this close?
Oh, yeah. Like a baby. Damn, why do people say that? Have you ever heard a baby sleep?
Hello. How can you eat?
I scream all night, every night. Babies don't sleep well, ever.
Okay, I feel like this is one of the things that Kenji says. One of the few things that Kenji says that does make some sense, but... Well, there goes my restful state. I have to remember never to use figures of speech with Kenji.
Alright, I get your point. What's a figure of speech? Yeah, sure, whatever. Where were you last night? I had a favor to ask, but you went around.
For a split second, I considered telling Kenji the truth, that I was spending time with Hanako and Lily. Thankfully, that split second passes as soon as it came.
I was just out, checking out the local area and stuff. Recon. Good, man, good. I knew you were the type to plan ahead. Anyway, what was this favor you wanted? I was gonna go get some takeout, but I needed change. Wait, what? I gave you money last week and you still haven't paid me back. And I was starting to think you were cool.
Kenji fishes around in his pocket and produces his wallet. As he counts out the 400 yen he owes me, I can clearly see at least two 10,000 yen notes. Hey, what the hell? Why are you borrowing money off me when you've got that much cash? Kenji hisses a little, realizing that he's been had.
Get off my case, man. It's bad luck to break a big note for anything less than half its value. It's the tycoon's rule. Last night's dinner is gonna cost me 7 years of bad luck. 7 years! Don't you think that's enough cause to help someone out? I'd get a shorter sentence if I just stole the stuff.
My common sense screams at me to say something to him, but thankfully I restrain myself. Arguing a point like this with Kenji will just lead to further and more complicated discussions.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe you should plan these things a little better. Yeah, man, I know, but I've just got so much stuff to do. It's hard. You're never around anymore, so I'm on my own. We're supposed to be brothers and brotherhood, remember? Yeah, I get you. Global conspiracy and such. I'll keep my ear to the ground.
Kenji draws close enough for me to get a clear whiff of his garlic-tainted breath.
You'd better, man. You're already spending this time here. That's the first thing they do. They'll try to split us up. Divide and conquer. Sun Tzu said that.
Roger that. Now I've got to be going.
I've got classes. You coming? Nah, I'm tired. I stayed up all night just to make sure nothing was going to happen after splitting that note. As rational as ever, I see. Whatever. Night.
Kenji scurries back into his room and I hear him throwing his locks as I walk down the hallway.
That is why some people can't roll their tongue or why their second toe is longer than their big toe.
Muto beams a half-moon smile at us, obviously proud of his explanation of recessive genes. However, no matter how impressed he is at the science that defines who we are, the classroom seems to be reduced to a stupor. Why is it that a bad explanation can make even the most interesting things seem worthless? I can see Muto deflate as he realizes that nothing he said in the past half hour has sunk in. Whispered conversations start to break the silence, and like an avalanche, the noise level in the class starts to rise. Defeated, Muto identifies some questions from the textbook and sets to clearing off the blackboard. Almost as if expected, Hanako packs up her things and leaves as soon as people start talking and laughing among themselves. The initial shock of seeing someone play so blatantly truant has started to fade, but it doesn't stop me from wondering. Is she leaving because she doesn't want people to speak to her? Or is it just the thought of people around her shattering her peace? Before I can think about the topic any further, the lunch bells ring. I wonder if she was simply taking the opportunity to leave early. The usual clamor of students exchanging books for lunch reverberates around the room. And while Misha's distracted, I grab my lunch and head out the door. Lily already sits in the tea room, setting out her lunch alone.
So, Hanako's not here then?
Oh, Hisa, how are you? I haven't met Hanako since this morning, I'm afraid. That's right, Hanako and Lily live next to each other. Somehow, I think their morning conversations are slightly more grounded than Kenji's ramblings.
That's strange. She left class earlier, so I figured that she'd come here.
So she's still leaving class early.
Huh? Yeah, I've seen her do it a few times.
Lily drops her head a little and her tone of voice is notably depressed. It's very reminiscent of someone who's used to hearing bad news. I was so sure that she'd stop doing that once you two became friends. Everyone has their own pace, I suppose.
Well, I was wondering about just that today. Why exactly does she leave?
I'm not entirely sure myself. I personally think it's because she doesn't want to be put in a situation where she has to answer someone. I have a flashback of my first meeting with her when I thought she looked like a cornered animal. Maybe I wasn't far from the truth.
But she seems fine with talking to you and with me a bit.
It's a little more complex than that. I imagine the first thing most people ask her is about her scars and what happened. She rarely talks about it with me, but I can tell that she doesn't like to remember whatever happened back then. Leaving class and running away from discussions is her preemptive strike, if you will.
So then how does that explain her talking to me?
You said it yourself yesterday at breakfast. You tried to ignore her scars. Once she saw that you weren't going to ask her about that, she opened herself up to you.
I guess you're right. Maybe. I don't know. You know her better than I, so I'll take your word for it.
I wouldn't worry about that. I'm sure you'll come to know her as well as I do soon enough. I welcome the prospect of her having a new friend, and the two of you have such similar interests.
Well, I hardly count reading as a team sport. It is good to have company, though.
That's my point. Hanako is still an average person at heart. She also wants company at times like that.
I see. I think, to be honest, both of you still confuse me a little.
That's only natural, Yusal. We've only known each other for a little while. It's unreasonable to expect you to understand us, just as we can't understand you. But that is half the fun of becoming friends, right?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Although, I suppose there is the matter of us being opposite genders. Men and women do seem to confuse each other quite often. She says this with a light giggle, finding amusement at the odd little details of life. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to start eating.
No, go ahead. I think I'll eat something too. I've got some books I want to drop back at the library before classes start, so I'd better get a move on.
You'll probably find Hanako there as well. If you do see her, can you tell her to stop by my room later tonight? I'd like to talk to her.
You're not coming?
Unfortunately, I have a class representative meeting later, so I'll be gone as soon as I finish my lunch.
Okay then. If I don't see her in the library, then I'll tell her in class. I'm sure she'll be back after lunch.
We fall silent as I start to eat, and I take a second to reflect on our conversation. I've always thought that Hanako's shyness was simply due to her being self-conscious of her scars, but that is a pretty superficial way of looking at her. Just when I thought I was able to see through the fog of Lily and Hanako, I realized that I'm more lost than when I started. Lily quickly finishes her lunch, acutely aware of her meeting. I don't blame her. Shizune's most likely going to be there, and I doubt she wants to give her the satisfaction of another argument. I must be off. Same time tomorrow?
Same time, same channel. I better head off too. I don't want to risk being late.
Lily smiles gently, picks up her cane and walks out into the hall. I turn my back on Lily as we head in opposite directions. For some reason, I find myself hoping she doesn't get into another fight with Shizune. As much as I like Lily, Shizune and Misha have been pretty instrumental in helping me adjust, even if half of our conversations are thinly veiled recruitment attempts. Then again, I barely know either of them. Maybe they were previously leaders of some kind of secret society, but their love for each other drove them apart. Man, I need to stop reading cheap fiction. It's rotting my brain. Either that or I've got to move away from Kenji and his bad influence. It's sad that I can't tell the two apart anymore. I slide my books down the return chute, and they crash into the cart with a pleasant thud. Yuko, however, doesn't seem as impressed as I am. You scared me.
Sorry, I thought you'd be used to that by now. Or is the literacy level here so low that nobody borrows any books?
No, I think everyone can read fine.
Yeah, never mind.
There are some battles that you can never win. Trying to explain jokes is one of them. My dad taught me that the hard way.
Say, Yuko, have you seen Hanako about? She left class early, but she wasn't in her usual hiding place.
I think I saw her sneak in before lunch. But I'm not supposed to tell anyone that.
I just told you that I saw her leave. No need to stress out.
Of course. She was probably in the bag.
Thanks. Get any new books in recently?
No, sorry. I'll let you know when we do, though.
Okay.
If there's one thing I know about librarians, part-time or otherwise, it's that they appreciate people who take a genuine interest in their work. Goodness. I walk the now familiar path to Hanako's reading nook. Picking out a few titles along the way. sometimes I find it hard to discover a book that will interest me among the shelves. An author's name and a two-word title don't mean much in this sea of similar words. Yuko's a gem. She's wonderful. Also wonderful. For that reason, I sometimes reread books that I read in the past. Better to bet on the favorite than a new runner. An unfamiliar title from a familiar author peeks out among the spines of its neighbors, so I remove it from the shelf. At least I'm not going over old material. As expected, Hanako sits on her beanbag, buried deep in a copy of Dance, Dance, Dance.
Hi, Hanako. How's it going?
I fight back the urge to ask why she left class early. If Lily's suspicions were right, then asking her about that could have the opposite effect. Best to leave it for the time being. Sometimes the best way to get an answer from someone is to never ask the question. This is an interesting take. I think it depends on the question, and it depends on the person. But he is just saying sometimes. Understandably, in communicating with people like Hanako, who probably have a lot of things going on, it's not a bad approach. I think this approach also takes time, though. Fortunately, we have time. We have time to woo our friend Hanako here. Hello, Isa. I'm fine. Something seems off, and after a couple of seconds I realize what it is. Hanako's smiling. She looks as if she's pleased to see me. Gosh, it's a nice change from the usual, instinctively frightened reaction. And it's something I hope I can see more of as we get to know each other better.
Good to hear. How's that book? I've heard it's a trip.
It's good. I think I've only started it, so I don't really know.
Fair enough. Let me know how it goes. I may borrow it once you're done.
Sure. There's a good 15 minutes left in lunch. Not really enough to get into a book, but too much to stand around doing nothing. And Hanako's already returned to her reading, so I doubt I'll get much conversation from her. Oh well. Better make myself comfortable. The familiar style of the author leaps out at me from the very first line. As the sentences turn into paragraphs, I start to relax a little. But no matter how I try, I can't seem to get myself into the atmosphere of the book. This is partly due to the lack of time, but the more distracting factor is Hanako. Every 10 or so seconds she peers over the top of her book, but when our eyes meet, she quickly ducks behind the covers. I guess she did want to talk about something after all.
What's up? You look like a prairie dog on lookout.
It's nothing.
I've told you before, nothing means something when you say it like that.
Hanako squirms a little in her beanbag, hoping that by changing her position she'll find the words she's looking for. I was in an accident.
Accident? Just now? Are you alright?
Hanako shakes her head, her hair flowing around her shoulders in wisps of amethyst on a background of pale and dark flesh. No, when I was younger.
Realization crashes into me like a semi.
When I was...
It's alright, Hanako. You don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to.
Again, she shakes her head. No, I have to tell you. when I was young, I was in a fire. My house burned down, and I nearly didn't make it. After that, I was alone. Hanako's eyes glisten in the dim light of the library, and I reach out to grasp her hand.
It's okay, Hanako. You don't have to keep going.
But I have to.
Why? What brought this on?
Last night, Lily told me about your heart. And I didn't think it was fair.
Fair?
That I knew about you, but you didn't know about me. I squeeze Hanako's hand a little.
Don't be silly. But yes, I have a heart condition.
I lean a little closer to Hanako.
What I didn't tell Lily is that I had my first attack when a girl confessed to me.
I smile a little to break the tension. Really?
Really? I haven't heard from her for a while though, so I guess it's all over.
I know it's all over. There's no other way to interpret what happened the last time I saw her. In some ways, not having heard from her again has helped me move on from that period of my life.
So now, we both know a little more about each other. But you don't have to talk about things if you don't want to.
Also, welcome, Ronnie. Hello. Playing some more Katawa Shoujo, trying not to intimidate my small cat Hanako. In fact, I feel a little bad even thinking about that whole incident. I can almost smell the hospital's disinfectant burning the back of my sinuses again. I imagine Hanako is going through the same thing now. When I was in the hospital, I went to the burn ward once, and only once. I was bored, so I went through a walk through all of the wards. I went through oncology and thought I could take it, but when I got to the burn ward, I turned around and went back to my bed. To think that Hanako would have spent months in a place like that, smelling nothing but corrupted skin, strong disinfectant, sterilized air. The really bad cases were kept in isolated pods that no foreign objects could enter. That would have meant no reading. I would have gone insane if I didn't have my books in the hospital. She said she was alone. Did her parents die? I'll have to ask Lily about it. I can imagine myself saying something dumb unintentionally. Thank you, Isao. I haven't told many people about this.
To be honest, I haven't told many people about my circumstances either.
Then I won't tell anyone either.
Deal.
I change my grip on Hanako's hand into a handshake as the warning bells chime through the window.
Well then, we'd better head back to class then, eh?
Sure. holds her. The tint of the room slowly changes from the shine of the afternoon to the orange of dusk. A clock lazily ticks away the seconds, counting in the background, on the verge of hearing. But no matter how long I wait, the outcome cannot be changed. The diminutive playing piece makes a small click against the board. Like a wound spring, Hanako makes her move only moments after mine. It's embarrassing. In comparison to my 5-minute moves, she seems to know exactly what she wants to do. Mate.
Again, what does this make? 3-2?
Stalemates don't count.
Oh, damn. You're getting better at this every day.
That, or she's been holding back. I'd never have thought it when I first met her, but she really has a knack for this game. Chess seems to have become a popular pastime for the two of us, hiding away in the tea room, playing a game or two after classes. From here, the students outside can just barely be heard milling about. The everyday noises from below remind me a little of my life before Yamaku, so I'm by now well aware that it's a life I'll never get back to.
Fancy another game?
I have to finish my homework.
Oh, well, I'll see you tomorrow then.
But what about this? Hanako points to the tea set surrounding the mostly empty chessboard.
Don't worry about that. I've got it.
Oh. Okay. See you.
Later.
Hanako departs as I start cleaning up the area. The occasional whistles and cheers from the sporting clubs outside become less frequent, eventually approaching silence. Part of me still wants to be in some kind of team. Since I played soccer and other sports before my accident, I guess it's really normal to feel nostalgic about what I can't do anymore. But I have other reasons than that for my coming here so often, and I don't feel so bad about losing that part of myself because of them. Lily is a good friend by now, but it's the small exchanges I have with Hanako that feel especially dear. The small victories I feel every day as I see more of what she's like under her self-imposed shell. That's why I come here most of all. As I'm putting away cups and saucers, I hear talking outside the door. Pausing for a moment to listen, I can make out that it's Hanako and Lily, and decide to go outside to investigate.
Are you quite sure?
I'm sure. He saw. Hanako turns to see me with a look of mild surprise as she notices my approach. Lily must have caught her just as she was about to leave. Oh my, Hisao is here as well?
Afternoon, Lily. What's up?
I was hoping now that I finished with my class representative duties for the day, that I might have the two of you accompany me for tea at the Shanghai. It'd be nice to enjoy ourselves outside of the school, for a change.
I'd be up for it. I think Hanako had work to do, though.
It's not all that much. Wonderful. Seems like we're decided then. Moment. I cast my eyes across the cafe as the three of us step in. As usual, there are only a handful of people around at most, and the noise level is a quiet background hum. The hold Lily has on Hanako's arm remains as it had been for the entire slow walk down the hill to the local town. though it's hard to say for which reason. For Lily's guidance or for Hanako's reassurance. For a moment, Lily removes her arm from Hanako's to retract her cane, as Yuko quickly skitters over to where we stand, but soon replaces it right back where it had been. Welcome to the Shanghai! May I take your order? She gives a deep bow, her well-delivered and professional introduction putting her in a good mood. It's a nice change from the norm for Yuko. Just tea, please. Hanako, Hiso?
I'll have a slice of pie and a coffee.
Just tea, please. Coming right up. Please take any seat you wish, and I'll be back shortly. Yuko gives a smile and a nod before shuffling to the counter, and we make our way to some empty seats by the window in quick measure. We slip into our seats, the girls on one side, with Lily's cane propped up beside them and I on the other. I realize that Hanako's not doing something that she so often does. Rather than keeping her eyes pinned to the ground and hiding behind her blind escort, busily trying to convince herself that the world around them doesn't exist, she's merely keeping her eyes low and helping Lily around.
Are you okay, Lily? You look tired.
She lowers her head a little, looking somewhat embarrassed that she let it show. Class representative work can be very tiring, considering that it often means dealing with the student council. Very tiring indeed. How do the other representatives go? Better than I, but not by much. Shizune is a harsh taskmaster no matter whom she deals with.
It doesn't sound like you particularly relish the job. Well, why do you do it in the first place if it's that bad?
Being a class representative is enjoyable, and I can deal with the responsibility well enough. It's just that the people involved aren't sometimes. She trails off, cutting her words at a rather opportune spot. It's hard to imagine Lily cursing, but I imagine that if anyone could make her do so, it would be Shizune. Hanako looks to be withering a bit in the light of such conflict, but before I can steer the topic away, she stands up. Hanako? I'll be back in a bit. With that, she leaves for the restrooms. I suppose that's one way to deal with the situation if that was indeed her motivation. Lily, however, looks a little wounded.
Don't worry about it. I don't think it was you.
But...
I think she's been getting stronger recently. You've seen it yourself, right?
I went a bit awry. Fortunately, Lily doesn't look offended, and by now I really shouldn't be quite so scared of stepping on that landmine around her. Possibly. Sometimes I find it hard to tell, though. Silence reigns for a moment before 2 teacups, a pie, and a mug of steaming coffee appear in front of us. I notice that Yuko takes special care to place the teacup against the tip of Lily's fingers, letting her know where it is. Here you go.
Thanks, Yuko.
Thank you. With a quick and silent bow, the bespectacled waitress takes her leave. Ah, that's right. I was meaning to ask you something, and now would be the right time to do so.
I'm all ears.
Hanako's birthday is coming up, and I was hoping that you might accompany me for present shopping in the city this weekend.
Hanako's birthday is soon?
I suppose it would be a nice chance to cheer her up a bit. Like Yuko, she always seems to be teetering on the edge of either panic or depression, and I've never seen her enjoy herself much outside of our chess games. All that aside, learning the layout of the city better with a friend keeping me company sounds like a good way to spend a weekend.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Have you got any plans for what to do on her birthday? for her birthday? A party or anything?
Hanako being Hanako, perhaps a low-key affair would be. Lily suddenly cuts herself short, leaving me to wonder why as she brings her teacup to her lips and begins to sip. After a few seconds, I notice Hanako walking up to us over her shoulder. Lily's hearing must be very good indeed if it was the sound of the restroom door opening that tipped her off. Hanako takes her seat once again and wastes no time in drinking her tea. Soon, the three of us are quietly eating and drinking as the sun sets. It's a nice way to spend the remainder of the day's light, and it makes me appreciate the quiet and serene surroundings of Yamaku. I think I'm really beginning to like life here, as isolated as it may be. I finish off the last of my coffee and rest the mug on the table, while the girls talk between themselves. The coffee here is a little bitter for my tastes, but still quite good. Better than what I can make for myself in any case. The girls' discussion is mainly focused on their respective reading preferences, which does give me a little curiosity about a related topic.
Hey Hanako, I was just wondering, aside from chess and reading, do you have any hobbies or things you like doing?
She is completely stopped in her tracks, looking quite surprised that anyone would be interested in asking such a question about her. It takes her a little time to formulate a response. I guess I like singing a little. I'm okay with computers as well, but I don't use them all that much. Singing's not exactly something I expected to hear. It's hard to imagine her singing voice, given how soft-spoken she is. Lily, on the other hand, simply nods. She must already know all this, since she's been friends with Hanako for 1 year or so by now. What about you?
Me?
She hesitates before quickly flicking her head up and down. It's only logical that she'd want me to talk about my hobbies after she's told me hers.
It's chess, obviously, but also... there was soccer as well, though I can't really do that anymore. Reading, which I picked up in hospital.
This is surprisingly hard. Lily and Hanako look a little put off by the direction this was taking, and the more I think about it, the more I am too. It sounds as if you've picked up quite a few things since your accident. Lily's candor is coated with possibly the most positive spin one could put on what I said. Hanako, however, is silent. If a situation becomes difficult, her reaction seems to be withdrawing into silence in order to prevent things getting worse, that or physically retreating. A soft ringing gives us pause. As Lily reaches into her pocket, it becomes obvious that the sound's coming from her phone. Sorry. It's okay. Lily gives a quick nod before shuffling out of her seat and taking the call a little distance away to avoid disturbing the both of us.
Must be nice to be so popular.
Hanako smiles but doesn't take up the hook for further discussion. I end up just sitting back and closing my eyes, relaxing as best as I can.
It's nice and peaceful here. I wonder what it'd be like to have grown up somewhere like this rather than in the city.
You come from the city?
Looks like I found something she wants to talk about. Yeah, you could say I was a city kid through and through.
It sounds like a lot changed.
It did. I'm still not quite sure what to make of it all, though. It's a bit of a culture shock, in more ways than one. You must have gone through something like this when you first arrived at Yamaku, right? I'd imagine most new students would.
Not really. Hanako gazes a little to the side, looking unwilling to go on. I tilt my head inquisitively, but a couple of seconds pass with no further answer. But can't we deal with that on Monday? The fallout has hardly settled from the last. I understand. I'll try to talk her down. You know what she's like when she gets locked into an idea. Yes, thank you. I'll talk to you later then. Goodbye. Lily's conversation ends with a snap of her phone closing. She returns to our table but doesn't take a seat.
Need to go?
Unfortunately, class representative wear calls once again. I can come with you.
It's alright.
Oh, wrong person. It's alright, Hanako. I'll just be going straight to the student council. There's no need to spoil a fine evening on my account. Flip phones, I mean that's the era which this game was made. Besides, if you were to accompany me on my way back to the school, who would keep our poor Hisao company? Okay. I can join you for tea again later tonight if you'd like. I may well need it. We agree on that plan, and Lily says her farewells to the both of us, taking her cane after Hanako passes it to her. Despite my offer to pay for Lily's share, she insists on giving us her portion of the bill, and gives her regards to Yuko as she takes her leave. And then we're alone. It may be all well and good to leave Hanako and me alone to have some time together, but all it typically means is the two of us sitting near each other in silence for a while. I wonder what I must look like to Hanako. I never thought of myself as a scary person, but to have someone my own age acting this way around me makes me intensely self-aware, as if it's my fault that she's so troubled. She might get more used to people if she were to stop being so cloistered and Yamaku, but then again, when even people much older than her react so strongly after a single glance at her face, she may well feel the same way I do now. It's a real catch-22. If she stays in Yamaku, she won't get used to socializing. But if she leaves, any efforts she might try would get thrown back at her by the people who can't deal with her scarring.
Want to order something else to keep us going? We haven't had much of a dinner after all.
Hanako brightens and nods vigorously, glad that I brought up a topic for her. I catch Yuko's gaze and she dutifully comes over to take our orders. Would you like something else?
I'll just have a sandwich special and a hot chocolate. A bit late for coffee by now. Hanako?
I'll have the same. With a nod and a bow, Yuko turns on the ball of her foot and returns behind the counter, where she busies herself fishing out bread and condiments and working the machine to make our drinks. Not a word is said between us until Yuko comes back. She smiles and gives us our food and drinks, before moving to a customer who's called for her attention. Mouth. I give up on the prospect of having much of a conversation with my companion, and decide to just enjoy the meal, as small as it may be. It tastes nice, as does most of the food here. After having a few mouthfuls, I notice something is missing. Namely, the sound of Hanako eating. Looking back to her, I see Hanako fidgeting a little behind her untouched sandwich.
Not hungry?
She shakes her head from side to side. Even as she does, the patch of hair she keeps over the right side of her face still does its job in hiding it almost entirely. It's not that...
I was all ready to have your share too.
You looked troubled. Is something wrong? I'm startled by her thinking that I'm the one who looks troubled, but on second thought she's probably right. My face may have given away my emotions without me noticing, and she's hardly a dim person. Quite the opposite.
We're friends, right?
Friends. From the tone of her voice and shrinking posture, it looks as though I've hit yet another landmine. This is another reason why interacting with her is difficult. The self-imposed psychological barriers she puts up between herself and others, including me, and most likely even Lily. It's a shame that... I think that we are. I'm a little taken off guard by Hanako's straightforward answer, all the more so since I was about to give up on getting any reply at all.
I see.
Am I wrong? Sorry,
No, it's just... Hearing confirmation of that from you is reassuring. To pick up on what you said earlier, since coming to Yamaku, I've been a bit uneasy about how I should relate with others.
I find myself chuckling a little. It's surprising how much of a relief that was. I can feel my face smiling as I pick up my cup of hot chocolate and bring it to my lips.
Oh, ouch, that's hot.
That's why I haven't eaten yet. I was waiting for my drink to cool down first.
I guess I'll wait then.
The both of us share a little chuckle. The situation isn't really that funny, but for some reason, it feels like laughing is the most natural thing to do right now. I guess we were both a bit wound up about each other. I was so busy thinking Hanako was the one with something wrong, it took her to remind me that I was uneasy as well. But be that as it may, it still feels a little nice. A little nice to have someone thinking about me like that, in her own way. Following a long, quiet trudge up the hill and into the school grounds, the two of us find ourselves between the two dormitories. Regular night patrols pass between the male and female dormitory buildings, both for the security and to quickly raise the alarm for any medical issues that may arise. The guard currently on duty notices us and gives a quick nod as he continues on his way. A loud yawn escapes from Hanako's mouth before she has a chance to cover it. I have little doubt she's fairly tired by now.
I'd better be off to my room then. See you tomorrow, Hanako.
Good night. We separate and begin to walk our separate ways before I stop and look back. Hanako stands there, waving to me as she smiles. I smile and wave back to her, and after a few seconds, she turns and walks up the stairs to her dormitory building, disappearing through the door. These little moments we share between us feel like a small treasure. One thing is sure. I want to protect that small, delicate smile she so fleetingly wears around so few people. I wonder about these feelings I have when Hanako's around, and when I'm able to do things for her, whether they may be the seed for something beyond what we share now. Doing good. We're doing good. Slowly, we are bridging the gap. We are building trust with the timid cat. Actually, we'll call it here for today. Let's save. Save here. Goes to crawl back to my main screen. Grab my seat. Oh, chat's still on the side. Well, we'll just leave it there for now. One day we will unlock the bun route. What is it that you want to achieve on the bun route? What would the bun route entail? Thank you for coming along for more Katawa Shoujo adventures. Oh, picks up Ronnie. A happy relationship? Do we not have a happy relationship? Do I not have a good relationship with chat? It's okay to say no, by the way. It's okay to say no, by the way. Thank you for the bun drink water redeem, Ronnie. I'll have a sip of water now. Thank you for the bun time. Thank you for the bun times. We do, but there is a lack of chews and hand-holding lately. When have I ever given chews, huh? When have I ever given chews? Gives you a look. I don't know what the good bun end entails, but I know the bad end involves the ivy. You think so? You think so? I was thinking about going to wrestle the ivy. I wanted to go up to the roof yesterday because I think the weather was a little bit warmer yesterday, but since it's not wet, at the very least it's not wet, I was considering going up today. We love Edu, that's very kind of you. We all love Ronnie here. Bun Mafia route. The descent into the criminal underworld. Okay, well, when it comes to Bun Mafia, I did have something planned. I feel like might have to stow it because I'm so behind. I'm so behind on the plans that I do have. Like, as much as I think that it's fun to read things on stream, as I mentioned before, I'm acutely aware. I'm acutely aware of the fact that my reading is it's just very grass-growing content, right? It's very quiet and lo-fi most times. Bunfia. I did have some sort of like little side event, bun event planned, but you know, for all the things that I want to do for story buns, buntuber, streaming things, I don't know, making merch, all those other VTuber classic doings, I can't help but feel like they're not really achievable. Not really achievable for someone like me, and it's already enough that I have a model, have an overlay, things like that. I always know that I can afford to strive for more, and truthfully, I know that I can also afford to ask for more as well. Ask for more many things, right? But it's difficult for me to do, I think. It's difficult for me to do that asking or have those expectations, or really become dedicated to something in which I can't just like fulfill out of my own power. And I'm not that intelligent, you know? Bun is pretty small-brained. So, having thoughts. I find it impressive about how far you've made it on your own. Well, I appreciate the kind word, and I'm very grateful for the people who support me even with my many shortcomings, both as a streamer and as an entertainer and as a person. Bun is not very smart. I think I've admitted that on several occasions. I think if you spend enough time with me, you may see the many, many ways in which I'm far from smart. But it's alright if you don't, and it's also okay if you turn a blind eye to those shortcomings. As we reach the end of this streaming week, well, the end of this streaming schedule week, I have been thinking about the things that I've been planning, and the slow work and slow effort that I've put into building them. And I always lament my lack of speed, but I also lament my lack of ability. And one of those abilities, I think, should be to ask for more from others. But because that remains still a difficult thing to do, the content on this channel remains very much just bun puddling around, and then on occasions it'll be bun puddles around with friends. And while I think that's okay for me, I do apologize because I think that maybe there's folks who hope for more. I'm friends with some very talented people, but not only are they talented, they can plan and arrange things for not only themselves but for others. I've been really enjoying the streams lately, they've been fun. Oh, that's sweet of you to say. I did have an extremely cursed playdate with Hal yesterday. He complimented my acting. Can you believe it? No worries about the speed, you work at your own pace. Well, you say this, and I appreciate it. But the thing is that if you enjoy the stuff that I make, I don't really give you a choice, right? If you have to wait on anyone, it's only me. You can only wait on me. Which is a good and a bad thing. I do become concerned at times, thinking about the things that I want to do, and by that I suppose they come under the Jazz Hands banner of shiny VTuber to-dos. Things like making merchandise and selling various other events. Just thoughts to cross my mind, I guess. I know that there's very kind folks who just come here to who just come to my streams to hear me talk, which there's not very many of you, but I'm grateful that you come at all. You do have a nice voice. Well, thank you, Mario. That's very kind of you to say. I wouldn't say that I have a nice voice. Today, yeah. One of the reasons why I didn't want to just have a vibing stream is because I think I have a lot on my mind about this channel, and I guess streaming in general, that just kind of need to be worked through rather than spoken about. It's just really nice to chill with you. Do you think so? It's very sweet. Thank you. Well, that's why I went to so much trouble to build the stream like this. Because I knew that I wasn't going to be doing anything interesting here. But, I don't have a very good personality. And I think that no matter what I do on stream, it's still something that will show. And I guess that concerns me. Lone Jonas? How do I say your name? Silvery voice? G'day, welcome. At least for me, whatever you do with this channel, always support the bun. Thank you, Mario. It's very kind of you. I do appreciate that there are people who want to support the bun. no matter what it is that I'm doing. But the thing is that I'm not doing very much. I'm not doing a lot of things. This channel will probably always be a home for Bun reading. A home where Bun reads books and basks in 19th century fiction. The backbone rather of this channel is the reading of fiction, and there's still a lot of things that I think would be fun to read. Fun to delve into. I know that you guys are probably tired of hearing me apologize for being slow or sometimes being absent. But so long as I can find my peace, I have no intentions of Italy. Big words. Thank you. I hope you also know that I don't really have any expectations, right? I think in many ways that it's easier for me not to, of course. Talking to some friends, I know that a couple of them have been interested, or maybe they already have applied for big companies, like thinking about VTubing for Niji or anything like that, working under someone big. Being honest, you shouldn't be sorry about being slow on anything. You work at your own pace and have your standards you want things to be at. The latter is extremely true. It's extremely and painfully true. I do work at my own pace. I also very clearly, in a most burdensome way, have my own standards that I want to work at. In the end, I just want to have a good time with my friends. I wanted to create a place where I could leave that sort of record as well. Have things to look back on. But also, we wouldn't want you any other way though. Villain and all. Thank you. But also, I think the story buns, should I say root? Story buns plotline, lore plotline, the story that follows. Technically, it's going to be reaching its end soon. Technically, I'd only planned for it to go about this far, about to the next installment. I think that it very well likely continue onwards, but the main arc of the Bun story is intended to be met in the next lore scenario. Yes, I might do, depending on how long it gets. I don't think it will end up being that long. We'll see. Have any of you seen all of the Bun lore? I won't ask you to, because it's a long time investment, even if you do put all of the videos on time 2. But yeah, even though the story is fairly, I think that the story is at its root, it's fairly simple. You know, all the vids you put it. Well, yes, all of the scenarios that came out on stream. Some of you may have noticed, but the VODs that I play with my friends, they don't often live on my channel. But there are many private recordings that I keep for friends. But when I do tabletop with friends, and they appear live. I'm also grateful that some folks duck in to watch, or they appear in during the 2-week period they're still on Twitch. But I tend not to upload those to YouTube publicly. Maybe I'll change my mind someday. But for now on my channel, the only TRPG VODs that live there are the ones I play with Sol that are Banlo. Whatever you're comfortable with, Bun. I think it's also appealing to my friends' comfort too. It is ultimately my choice, but for now I think that's best. I do have some recordings that I'd like to look back on and watch though now and then. You doing well, Ronnie? Actually, even the stuff that I have with friends recently, I've been tossing over a little bit. I've been mulling over quite a lot. I always want them to go well, right? But I think that also becomes burdensome in its own way. That I always want to go on. Gonna be real, I haven't been able to. That's okay. That's nothing to be sorry for. The tabletop sessions are really long, and if I don't archive them, which I don't archive them on YouTube, but they stay on Twitch for a little while. If you don't have time to watch those, that's more than understandable. They make the most sense if you stay for the whole thing, but I imagine not many people can. Oh, Osamu, hello. You cry, welcomes Osamu, but also wipes away Yumi tears. I've finished wooing my bookworm sweetheart for now. We've gotten a little bit closer, I think. I was just talking about my thoughts on streaming recently, I guess. To the small crowd of people who visit my stream. I'm used to them being long. You get it used to it. Okay, well, when it comes to D&D campaigns, I feel like you get used to D&D campaigns spanning like a year, several months long. Being botted is great though for when you want to listen. I'll consider it. I think part of the reason why I don't keep them in archive for extended periods is because I'm a little bit ashamed of my own performance during certain scenarios. Unless it's something that I've purposefully put together that needs to last, that needs to stay. Like some of the scenarios that I'm working on at the moment, those will be archived properly. Hello, welcome. I don't necessarily have a lot of scenarios on hand. I feel like I have maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe sort of 5 that I've played with more than one person. Sort of my repertoire is about 5 scenarios that I rotate in and out between friends. I understand and respect that, but also Bun performance is always amazing. It's very kind of you to say. I always end up saying this in some way or form, but I do try and put some effort into the portrayal of characters. I want to portray characters in the way that they can be sympathized with. Because if they couldn't be sympathized with, then it wouldn't be as meaningful to the scenario. You do your best in the moment and that is fine. Well, that's all we can do. I'd love to have the recent Christmas theme one if possible. I'll consider it. Or I'll play it again with someone else. Maybe. Is Bun a writer? Because those sound like writer-reader philosophies. Well, I mean, as you can probably tell, I do write things. I don't call myself a writer, because it's not my main vocation. But I can write things. No, I missed the last 3 minutes? Oh, I know. What's wrong? Nothing to know about? What are your writer-reader philosophies, Osamu? I know you like to write. If it's a little too hard to answer that on the spot, you don't have to. You don't have to. I can't wait for next route if there is another one. Oh, do you mean for Katawa Shoujo? Because I played one of the other girls' routes previously, which you can see on my YouTube. I played through Shizune's route. Good ends only, by the way, guys. I'm not doing completion. I'm doing good ends only for these girls. I don't know that I have any right on the spot. That's okay. I was just being nosy. Writing is too big brain for me, or communication in general. Communication is very difficult. Honestly. I can't say it's something that I'm necessarily good at, but it's something that I give a lot of thought to. Writing is the bane of my mind. I wouldn't say that for myself, but I guess while I can do it, I wouldn't call it a strength to the point where I would write it. I would write something and send it to someone else. I would draw something and I would send it to someone else. Like if I drew my friend's character, I would send it to them. Maybe potentially if I was going to write something about another person's character, I'd also send it to them. But between the two, naturally I'm going to gravitate towards drawing something, not writing. I do both hand in hand, but one of them I would consider a can-do, and the other I would consider a can-do with some skill. Writing feels like you need to understand how people work and what makes good characters for the role they're portraying or for future developments. Well, I did read from a delightfully horrendous script yesterday. I'm not sure how many of you were there for that, but the room is... I think a critic described it as a film made by an alien wearing human skin, trying their best to pretend to be human. If I had to think of one, it's just to make sure that my characters end up somewhere better than where they started. I guess a sort of catharsis for both character and myself. Yeah, but even when you think about it, you can only think about things from your own point of view up until someone shows you another way to look at things. I had a conversation with someone recently. This sounds like an accurate description. It's an accurate description of the movie, it truly is. It's not like they went out of their way to make a movie bad. It's just, like, you couldn't make a movie that bad if you tried to make a bad movie. Like, it is what it is. It can't be any more or any less than what it is. I had a conversation a little while ago with someone who has some difficulties communicating with others. And it was in light of the fact that they become very lonely because they're bad at holding their relations with others, with even the people that they care a lot about. They have a lot of difficulties in showing that they care for the people around them. They have difficulties in expressing themselves to the people around them. in almost every way, in every way that is important to them and important to others, I think, actually. And I wanted to, so I stopped them and I said to them very seriously, like, I'm gonna say something, and like I want you to like as much as possible, like take this into account. But I asked them, like, do you want to be a considerate person? Do you want to be considerate to others? And that is, well, you know, the answer to that is yeah. They said to me, yes, I do. I want to. I don't know how to be considerate to others. And so I said, like, I don't know. Well, basically, the point I made was that to be considerate to others is difficult because what is considerate to one person may not be considerate to another. Like that is ultimately it. The way we are considerate to people must, and well, it should change from person to person. Like maybe for certain people, certain cultures, there'll be ways in which those 2 points align between what we think is considerate to another person and what that other person will take as a considerate action. But we as people, we are not mind readers, right? When you don't know how to be considerate to a person, I said to this person, when you don't know how to be considerate to someone else, what you must do is you must, first and foremost, like very importantly, you must listen to them. Because only when you listen to a person can you begin to understand about what it is that they need or what they find considerate, and then you can meet those needs. It's also part of our responsibility, I guess, in communicating to others, in sharing what those needs are, or how it is that we can be helped. Because if you don't say these things, you know, people don't necessarily know. They can only be considerate in their own way to you. It's all they know how to do. It's like a, you know, it's like a two-way street. I've been told there's a difference between listening to someone and listening to someone. People aren't always good at sharing their needs either, right? Only when someone tells us how it is that we can be considerate to them are we able to really do that for them. Otherwise it's too difficult, because again, we're not mind readers. There are kind of just like some socially accepted norms, right? But ultimately it's about communication. It's about listening to the needs of others. Oh, it's all very difficult. But I said this to them. And I was like, if you want to show someone consideration, the first thing you must do is you must listen to them. And in listening to them, you can adjust your behavior. Because like being good to others, being polite and considerate, and kind and considerate and polite to others isn't something that we are all inherently born with, right? We aren't born with the ability to do these things. I think that we are all born with the instinct to look after ourselves. But other behaviors that we learn and adapt later in life are demonstrated for us by others. We learn our manners from others by watching others. But the more important part of this learning and watching is that you must practice. It's not always common knowledge, right? If you don't know something, you don't know it. It can be hard to not blame people at times for their lack of common knowledge. But consideration to others, being polite to others, is something that you must practice, like any other learned behavior, in order to better adjust, to do it better. These behaviors you must repeat, become used to, and then understand for yourself why you're doing them the more you do them. They need some kind of training. They need the practice. Now, the person that I was talking to in this instance is pretty old. If I can be honest, like a well-seasoned adult. But you know what he said to me? He was like, I think back to when I was a teenager, and the advice I was given was, when you talk to girls, make sure to listen to them. It was like, if you wanna go on a date with a girl, don't talk too much. And so that was the lesson that he drew from my words. But it's true. If you want to engage with others, you have to start listening to them. Common knowledge isn't as common as people think. It isn't. But even then, you see a lot of people who are criticized, probably to unnecessary extents, for their lack of knowledge, right? It's hard not to be offended by people when they say wrong things. If I can be fair. It's hard not to be hurt when people say hurtful things, or they do hurtful things, just because that's what it is. But at the same time, I want to sympathize, and not just, this particular person. I was just like, I don't want to just let you continue letting your relationships go to rot. Because again and again, I just know it's not his intention. I know it's not what he means to do. I know what he wants for himself, but he's so bad at achieving it. He doesn't even know from the basics where it is that he's going wrong. Hey Athos, g'day. We're just talking about consideration and manners. Consideration for others, and me trying to drill in this particular lesson to others, someone else, and how difficult communication is. It can be very. But the age of social media has thrown a real wrench into into thoughts about communication. So many layers of meta to it now. consideration, communication with others while the absence therein. Something like that. Yes. Just thoughts. Dunno really. It's always fun listening to Bun thoughts. Is it? I'm quite a jerk, actually, about some of the about the state of some modern forms of communication. I know it sounds extremely outdated to just label them as modern, but I specifically mean in regards to the face of social media. For me at least, it's interesting. I'm glad you think it's interesting. I have a lot of thoughts like this, and because I have a lot of thoughts like this, I'm pretty reluctant to engage in social media in a broader scope. Relating back to my talking about, streaming, I have thoughts about the things that I can/should be doing to upkeep/grow. Trying to phrase this in a way that matches what I'm doing as a platform, but Bun a jerk? You didn't know? I've been taking a break for months from Twitter because I know it wasn't doing anything good for me. I don't think Twitter does anything good for anyone. I resonate with that. Social media isn't too healthy. I can see that, but it is also nice to have someone share these ideas with and see how they look at it. Oh, it's interesting. Well, I'm glad you think it's interesting. I also don't engage a lot in social media, but I'm also quite, I guess, afraid is a word that you can use for my feelings in regards to social media, as well as growth in the way that a streamer would be looking to grow. Shirogane, hello, welcome. Having a deep chat about the state of social media. And by social media, I think most commonly about Twitter, because that's what most of my friends are using. And it's a social media platform that I've semi-returned to, or I have picked up again now that I've started streaming. And I could do a lot more. Social media is messy since most of my favorite memories wouldn't be possible without it, but also use social media. Started stream? Yes. I made a Story Buns Twitter, which you see me link occasionally. You've been streaming? No, I haven't been streaming, obviously. But it is necessary. I know that there's quite a few people who watch for updates on Twitter instead of feeling compelled to join a Discord server. Understandably so. I mean, it's just where I knew most of my friends existed, and it is where a lot of VTubers gain their traction nowadays. After taking a break, I think I'm going to avoid the primary feed, keep a browser session saved with the people I care to check on, post what I want to post, then close the website for the day. I mean, however you think is best. There's a lot of unhealthy things about how social media has changed not only the way we look at ourselves, but the way that we interact with and exchange words with others. As always, the internet is an intimidating place. It's also a dangerous place where, people say and do anything under the guise of an anonymous icon, a nameless face. Yes. Oh, I did call out that person, or rather, I made a document about them, and I linked it in the server, just to run through, because I mentioned it during the ice cream eating stream, that I was making this document about this person's actions, and it's something that I very seldom feel the need to deal with, because there's a lot of people. I think that this person probably also knows there's a lot of people who have behaved this way, and so perhaps they wondered why I would single them out among all the rest that do it. But if you did run eyes over that document, mayhaps you'll see why it was concerning for me. Harsh words, perhaps, but I didn't say more than 100 words in that document. I didn't have to. And I posted it mostly I posted it on Toy House, where it could be seen by people who follow me there in the community. And for the people who responded to me on there, they were sympathetic about I guess about the situation, even though I wasn't asking for anything. I just wanted to bring it to people's attention so that this person's actions would change. And then I think I talked to one of my friends and I said, originally I had thought about putting this on Twitter, but I know that if I put it on Twitter, then I would probably receive death threats. I said both this person and I would receive death threats in different ways for different reasons, because that's the kind of place Twitter is. And I think that if you read through the doc, you'd probably understand why. Because it's the kind of thing that happens to artists who try to put that sort of PSA out there, is that people respond very harshly on both parts of the spectrum. On every part of the spectrum, actually. Sounds like Twitter? It does, but it's very unfortunate. So I didn't put it there. I mean, I think the matter is important, and I genuinely hope that this person changes their ways. But I actually don't think that they would have changed their ways had I not made this matter public. So at the very least, maybe they won't show up in my circles. Twitter isn't a nice place for artists these days. I don't think it's really been a nice place for artists ever. I feel like I can always think of some sort of drama that was tossed about on Twitter that was only aggravated by being on Twitter. Because people really do say anything. But yes, if you do pass eyes over the document, I hope you can understand why it is that I felt compelled to make it. I didn't spend a lot of time lamenting about making every single post like a perfect construct, right? I didn't think that what I was saying required that sort of care. But if you do have qualms about the contents of the document, you are of course entitled to those. For my own reasons, I feel that doing this is justified. And this is in light of the fact that a lot of people have done these types of things in the past. So, you handled it better than I would, that's for sure. What did I come back to after making coffee? I made a document that I mostly circled for people who follow me in the adoptable community about someone who's been more or less piggybacking my work and profiting off of it for the past year. They have seen and responded to the document. I won't post or share what they wrote, but I'm unsurprised, and the contents of their message wasn't interesting to me. So, coffee? Will some of you want some coffee? Kill on sight. I hate leeches. Well, I also linked the document within the Bun server. I was just saying that for people who might have feelings towards me because I made this, and who might disagree with my choice of action, and or with the words that I've got to say within the document. For as few of them as they are, there's not that many words in that document. That you are entitled to those thoughts. I think that my actions in this case are justified. I have a number of thoughts for people who do want to comment. 6 things that I've asked people not to say if they feel tempted to say them. Even your callouts have impeccable presentation. It's laid out well in the outline, the original versus copy. I did. I imagine that not everyone can tell. Some of the examples I didn't link. I didn't draw in the diagram what exactly was copied. I just felt it wasn't necessary, and I was too lazy. I just wanted to share the journey of how long this has been happening. So it's been happening for at least a year, as well as sort of the intention of these doings. Did they give you credit? Oh, no. Why would they? It would just outline the similarities. I think everyone has sort of different approaches to what is considered plagiarism or quote-unquote highly referencing something. It is very blatant, but then again, not surprised that they would have such a response. I mean, I can in fact share their response. It just isn't interesting to me. Because they defend themselves for some examples and they don't defend themselves for others. But they still have the gall to say things like, all I ask is that no one sends me hate, as if, as if that's my jurisdiction, or as if I've said anything in the document to add fuel to the flame. And that's also not my intention. My intention has never been to send this person hate, because I didn't do that in the first place. But, I don't have any hatred. I don't have any hatred towards that person. I don't know if that much is clear. I don't have those feelings toward them. But here's some arguments that you might see on Twitter. Things like, oh hello Key, just talking about Daiko. just talking about that PSA I made about Daiko, and trying to open my arms a little bit to other opinions if people felt otherwise about me, not making a document about them and then posting it in public, and then also posting it within the Storybun server. To me it felt like a direct message from you to them, asking them to stop, not to stop up the path they were taking. Well, yes, that is exactly what it was. I mean, that's what I said within the document. I said, please stop. So, scared animals do anything when they defend themselves. Well, I think that's a little bit different. I think it's not right to say that this person is a scared animal, because they're not really scared. If their actions tell you anything, it should be that they're not scared. Did they take any action? They responded to me. They replied to my note to them. But their note back, so their response to me was not very interesting. It was thoroughly uninteresting. That sounds like they knew they were in the wrong but chose to double down. That's disappointing. So the note that I sent them says, please look through the contents of this document. I link the document. It will be posted between platforms shortly. I am aware that people have tried to solicit your introspect and change on multiple occasions already. When you are seen as an imitator, that stigma will haunt you. I will ask you once not to use my artwork as a crutch anymore. So that's my note. That's what I said within my note to them. They basically traced over your artwork and redid the colors. That's not true. If there's anything I can tell you, it's that they didn't trace. But this is why it is all the more difficult to call someone like this out. It's not like they haven't copied me, but I can't criticize them for tracing, and so that's not what the document is about. Does it make sense? It amazes me how cordial you are. I think that this note is very withering. On my part, this note is very withering. I want this person to change their ways. I don't want them to quit drawing. I don't want them to get off the internet. I don't care about that. It's not what I want. It's not what I'm interested in asking from them. They heavily referenced and profited from doing so. Well, they very much Frankensteined a lot of the things that I drew and made them into something and then put their own name on it. So honestly, even though I didn't mention them by name in the title of the document or anything, because this person's name is on everything they made, there was no point in censoring it. It would have taken too long, and there was no point. So there was no point. It makes sense, but that person kind of used your art as a reference. It's not kinda. They very much used my art as a reference. And you said you were a jerk. I am a jerk. But the answer to the document was, thank you for handling this respectfully. I'm including this response to the note you sent on your main account. I apologize for the disorganized note. I'm not sure of the best way to respond to the references. On images 1, 7, and the bottom of 2, I fully admit to using your art as a reference while creating those. I'm aware this is not an accusation of tracing, but I just want to restate that I have not once traced your artworks. Then they go through on example 2, on example 3, on example 4, blah, 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 blah. So they run through and they make examples about why they haven't referenced off of me, or who it is that they referenced, or whatever it is to defend themselves. Right. So they continue on like this through all of the examples made in the document. And then they go on to say, blah, 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 blah. I do not feel that the bottom have enough similarities to be copying, blah, blah, blah. Please notify me if I've left anything out. Not interested. I'm aware you don't want an apology, but I would still like to apologize for all the stress and hassle I've caused you. I myself have had artwork traced and stolen, and I'm not sure why I decided this was a reasonable thing to do. I have admitted to the artworks which were referenced and denied those which weren't. Whatever you decide to do next is up to you. I will remove myself from all of your platforms and ensure that your artwork will not be referenced by me again. I will also take down all the artworks in which I admitted to. Again, thank you for handling this in a respectful manner. If you do publish the document, all I ask is that no hate is sent towards me. A response would be appreciated if there's anything you want to add. So this was their response. On a very surface level. What do you mean you have any of works traced and stolen your artwork and stuff? I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say things like that. I think that in this particular case, I can imagine, like, in my mind, I'm already generating the cynical responses I would get on Twitter for something like this had this exchange happened in public. So you will meet people. You will meet people in your life who break boundaries, but they will present as nice and polite. And now this is... So I've been privy to a couple of conversations had with this person from people who feel wronged by them. So people who've approached them regarding their inappropriate artistic behavior and this person's responses. They all read like this, by the way. They all read very politely. But I guess just, PSA for everyone here. For your own safety sometimes. I suppose for your own wellness of being. It's good to grasp the context of someone's intentions that go behind behavior. Be it malicious, be it benign. And take them a little further back from their face value. So at a glance, this person's message reads very politely. It reads very, I've done this wrong, I regret it. I will change. But I also read this in their responses to the other people that they responded to. I read very similar passages in the responses that I was privy to from the people that have approached them before. And you can understand on like the most basic of levels that sometimes people pretend to be what they're not. And putting on the pretense that you are nice and that you regret and that you deserve the benefit of the doubt is like the most basic trick in the book. Because people who are very cunning, people who are quite socially savvy, they might know that their responses will be leaked to others. And they will know how to present their lack of culpability in this particular instance. They will form this reply to defend their dignity. But rather, it's done so that when these things come to light, which sometimes they can do, that any negative interactions they have might enter into public scrutiny, as they would do. So say if we had this exchange on Twitter, and this person wrote this lengthy thread of tweets in response to what I said, people would see this and they would simply take the whole, they're apologizing, they regret their actions. In using this kind of soft language, this person's actual dismissiveness is very well disguised. Because had they used more language to not take responsibility for these things, it would damage their image. So it would hurt their image in front of others. So this person is dismissing the contents of the document. They say they'll take responsibility, but I don't really care about their words. You know, I guess if you can think of anything right out of the book, it's like someone who says, your feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid when it's about like, when they're trying to hide their intentions behind words. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing technically wrong with this person's response. It's just that I already know that their words are empty. I already know that their words are empty. Had I only had this response, to go on, maybe I would have taken their words as this person does regret what they've done. But if you read a little bit between the lines of what this person is saying, they're quite unsorry for their behavior, despite saying the words, sorry. They apologize to me on the outside, but I am quite aware that they're not sorry. I'm not expecting them to be. I think it would be better if they were. But had this person any shame in the first place, they wouldn't have been able to give this kind of response. Does that make sense? Basically, very like socially savvy / cunning, as I said before, people trying to worm their way out of a situation are able to reframe their dismissiveness of a situation as well-intentioned. My takeaway is that they're just being sorry on the surface. I don't think they're sorry even on the surface. Because if they were sorry, then it wouldn't take my calling them out in order to generate a response. And not only are they not sorry, but they defend themselves again and again and again through all of these examples as if I'm framing some sort of debate, some sort of argument against them in a court of law. But you know, these people act very innocent to the effect their actions have on others. So that it will make me look like an ungrateful or an unreasonable person if I get upset at them. But realistically, I think that I'm more than entitled to chew them out for doing this even once. And they go out of their way in the first paragraph to say, oh yeah, well, I did that. I did that for these examples here, but I didn't do that for these examples down here. It's saving face to damage control, a very political move to stop the fire from spreading. Well, I'm sure they don't want it to spread. It's not like, you know, once again, my intention is not to like get this person chased out of any community or anything like that. But it's very possible, you know, it's entirely possible to bully or manipulate people without ever losing the front of someone who is soft and benign and caring and sorry and fragile. Well, you know, coming from someone who has talked to a number of people about things like this for many reasons over the years, it's not always going to look like some sort of Jekyll and Hyde exchange. The person who's being wronged, yeah, the person being wronged will be framed like they are being unreasonable, they're being ungrateful for getting upset, or I don't know, being rejected over things like this. I already recognize that this is the kind of situation that it's in. They're sorry they get caught and called out. They are. They're just sorry that they got caught. I was privy to a conversation they had with some other people. And, yeah. I feel a bit tired. And I already knew, I think, for a long time, that this person was probably going to be playing the long game. But, good night, Ash. It's too soon to say. I'd like to think that they will simply move on to someone else. But... yeah, I understand. I understand that people will more than likely still want to defend this person's actions. I think it's okay to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think it's okay to give people a second chance. However, I don't think it's okay to give people second chances for the same mistake, for continuing to make the same mistake. People do deserve second chances for making mistakes because we're all people, and that's what we do. Do you know what I mean? Even if they change, it doesn't undo the hurt they've done to you. Well, you know, as far as things go, I'm fine. I'm actually fine. They're on their 3rd+ chance already. That is why I think this particular action needed to happen. On my part, at the very least, I needed to act by now. Because if I let this go on for even longer than it would do, no, I couldn't be more sorry to the people who have been affected by this person's actions, or who have been hurt by their continued flagrant abuse of boundaries. It gets exhausting though. I hope you aren't worrying about this more than you should. I'm not worried about this person so much as I'm worried about the effect that their actions has on others. And whenever these sorts of things go out into a community, any community, I guess especially when it comes to adoptables, I think about the times that I've had to call out people in my community. Hasn't been a lot. It's been a lot less than it could have been, but I haven't had to do it a lot. It always leaves people feeling quite uneasy. It's more than one person who's responded with, "Oh, I feel like I've seen lots of people doing stuff like this." And yeah, you might have done. You might have seen a few people doing things like this. But yeah, even though these things are mostly done to protect me, I'm not like extremely offended. I'm not so offended by this person. I don't know why people do it. I don't know why they feel compelled to do it. I'm grateful that they like my stuff. But sometimes you meet them, you meet folks who might do the wrong thing, and they're just insusceptible to reason. They will not compromise. They also will never acknowledge it. I think I know more people who won't acknowledge it than people who will. But we'll see if this creates change. I'd be happy if it does, but I'd also be happy if this person just like stayed out of my hair forever. Maybe the day will come where they think about what I've said, and they'll take it as a good. Or maybe they'll turn around and be like, "Oh, I hate this person's art now," and they'll never touch upon my art again. Maybe that'll happen. Who knows? For both their sake and yours, best if they don't trouble you any longer. Who knows? People are very interesting. Given the situation, Ben, would you say that you're too nice? I think rather than saying I'm too nice, I think you could say that I've chosen to be less vicious than I could be in this situation. I wish this person would just stop, and I like how you're so calm about this. I think it's been so long. That I've seen more than enough people who've come and gone doing things like this. Would you normally be more vicious? Well, I'm in adoptables. I've seen people say all sorts of things about others. I've seen all sorts of scammers stories and PSAs and don't interact with this person stories, and I don't pay a lot of attention to the tea that goes on. I mostly just I keep a very, very side eye out just to be safe, but since I don't interact a lot. You're so curious, Bun. I think you're too generous. I feel like Bun is more tired than calm due to how many times this sort of thing happens. Well, if I become very upset over people who do things like this, well, you know, if I can just like lay this down as a bottom line, I don't want to use this to justify this person's actions in any way, because I don't think that this person's actions are correct. I think that they have done something that is to be considered wrong in this situation. But am I upset about it? Well, I don't think it's good, but I'm not that upset. Like, I don't want to be upset over things like this. I don't think it's worth it. I think that it's too much, it's too troublesome. It requires too much energy, and I don't find it necessary. I don't find it worthy of my time to be so upset about people like this. And in fact, dealing with someone who was very upset over these happenings was more tiring than the other way around. Like, can I stop it from happening? Probably not. Would my being upset about it change anything? No, it wouldn't. So, ultimately, it's better that even if I was going to be upset about it, that I should keep it short. It's okay. If this person was a bit more of a psychopath, I think that they would probably just continue on their path. But I like to think that because they're so socially aware, that they will move on to someone else, most likely. The thing is that in their list of defenses, they were like, oh, I was referencing, makes this list of artists, and in my mind, I was like, I can't tell you how many of these artists have also been accused of copying me. I can't even tell you. I'm not even gonna bother. It's not like, you know, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that you're interested in their style, because, you know, I'm not surprised. But it just... Why have that conversation? I'm not going to argue with this person. I went to write a response to them, but in the end, all I wrote in the note was, I read your message. And after that, I didn't have anything to say. So I decided not to send it. Yeah, at the end of their message, they said, if you have anything more to add in response, please reply. And so I went to reply to see if I had anything else to say. Read receipt is all they need. Yeah. No, I just wrote in the note, I read your message. And then I decided not to send it because, you know, why send anything like that? So, but you know, I'm plenty frosty, I think. I think I can afford to be meaner. I think I can afford to be meaner to people who do these sorts of things. But an even broader scheme of things, if I were going to be petty about every single person who did me, you know, quote unquote, did me dirty, by taking my art or trying to sell it on or things like that. I think that it would this is going to sound really manipulative, but I think it would dampen the effect of my words when I do call people out. I really only want to make these sorts of things public. And I mean, even though I say public, I put it on Toy House. So it's like just the handful of people interested in adoptables who follow me there, who would see it. And even then, not everyone who follows me there would care about this. Making things public. Only issues that I think really need attention. You see, if this person had done this once for the Ignis and Blair picture that I did, plus the reference to the other adoptable that I made, just the Frankensteining of the two. If I had called this person out for just that one thing, it would have been justified. Maybe they would have changed their ways back then. I don't know, because I didn't do it back then. But I think on my part, it would have been a petty thing to do. This is my personal opinion, and this is coming from someone who only wants to be taken seriously by the people who see my various announcements. What happened was just trying to change someone on their artistic path, more or less. I feel sorry that I more or less let this person run amok for a month, for not a month, for a year, for a long time. So I feel like I gave them a lot of opportunities to change their ways, but there was really no sign of that happening. I'm sorry to the people, most of all, who support me and feel upset by this person. I think that's what I'm most sorry for in this instance. But I am still empathetic to their situation. I just hope that they turn things around for themselves. It's okay, Bun. Key this spokesperson. So don't worry about it. But thank you for your kind words in response to the situation, folks. I think that I'm talking about it because as a topic, it still troubles me that I have to do things like this at all. I know that there's people who follow and care about me who would like me to be less vulnerable to people who are more interested in using me or abusing the things that I've made in order to gain, be it financially, socially, in whatever way they are using my work. I hope that I hope that all of you won't be too unkind about them either, about this person. It's difficult because ultimately I know that there's someone who likes my work, and it's very difficult because the people who have wronged me the most in adoptables are people who really like my work. I say this a lot, but I feel sorry about it. Confrontation is difficult, but I think you've done the right thing to stand up and set your boundaries. I don't think the confrontation between me and this person is difficult. The only thing that I think is difficult about the situation is navigating the body of social response to this occurrence, to things like this happening. I'm quite good at setting my boundaries for things that I only matter to me, or only matter in communicating with me. But otherwise, I have to consider the feelings of the people in my community, and whether or not I want to. I also have to think about the effect it will have on this person. I don't have to think about that. Frodo voice. Alright then, keep your secrets. I will do. I will do that. I think you keeping things relatively private was a good choice because, like you said, if it's on a more public platform like Twitter and such, it would invite more unwelcome. Well, that's exactly it. If it was on Twitter, it would invite it would invite death threats for both of us. I couldn't respond to them even if I wanted to, just given the circumstances, but I do have very harsh thoughts with that. No. Well, thank you for thinking things for me and, the art that I make. I went back and I tossed through some of my terms of service, and I'd been grouping it for a while, mostly in order to accompany some commercial terms. But I'd kind of been oohing and ahhing about the commercial terms for a long time that I'd never actually got around to updating the terms. So it lived on docs for a while, but I went through and I updated it a bit. And with the changing face of social media, but also AI, it's pretty difficult for artists to get by, freelance especially, artists to get by. We could definitely do to not take and harm each other, but I'm quite certain that someone like this isn't doing it to harm me, because their intention isn't about me at all. What's your thoughts on the Jolly stuff? I talked to my cool friend Sky Citizen about this actually. He asked me about my thoughts on AI. And unfortunately now these things have been made, they can't be unmade. Unless there's some laws or anything that come into place to like stop them being used. Now that they've been made, they will continue to be used. I hope that we as artists can find ways to use them as tools, but it is otherwise a very scary development. I've asked people not to upload my art to AI generation sites because when art is spun off of pre-existing creations, it becomes the property of whoever owns the site. They can be put in hibernation for a while, like, it would be good, but I think it will be a bit similar to the photography, to the way photography has changed the face of artwork. I think that there'll be people who use it as a new art form to create art. There are certain parts of the AI use that I think are pretty dangerous, like that mimic site that I linked. I linked this in my adoptable server, but a site that specifically mimics someone's art style. I said I'd like you not to use art, and preferably I think if you do create art, you shouldn't upload to a site like that, because you may lose the rights to it, something that looks like it was made by you. This is why there are ethics courses in computer science. There are just some things that shouldn't be made, you know? There are just some things that shouldn't be done. I don't know how best to put it, but you just shouldn't have done it. But now it's been made. I hope that it does go away. I don't think it will. But it's not good. I think that certain sites that have made these things happen shouldn't be allowed. However, you know, when photography came about some years ago, and photography was developing, the camera was developing, and better and better photos were being taken, they were like, photography is going to replace art. You know, no one's going to have a need for art now that photography is a thing. I love ethics and technology because you could doesn't mean you should. There's some stuff that shouldn't have been made for sure. How can we unmake them, aside from just banning their use? People really said that about photography? They did. Didn't you know? When photography was in its more development stages and becoming more advanced, that's what they said about photography versus artwork. It may seem kind of laughable now, but That's how it was. On the other hand, obviously the situation is slightly different. It can't exactly be likened to photography because AI is taking directly from other people's art. It's a little bit like if you had a lot of people making meals and you took a plate, you took a pot around and you stuck a ladle into like 100 cooks' pots and you put them into your own and then you put it on the stove. You're like, I made that. But did you? I don't think I'm ready to call people who use AI artists because I don't think that's what they're doing. However, on the other hand, I feel that making artwork accessible, like more accessible to make, for people who don't have the ability, I can't fully say that it's a bad thing. Oh, Camperdan, hello. We're having some deep talks in the bun stream after having some Katawa Shoujo plays, talking about AI and artwork. Even if I felt really strongly about it, which I don't really like these things being made. I think that they're kind of incredible, the fact that they have been made. Some things I'm a bit on the fence about. But can I stop it? Can I do anything about it? Maybe not. We'll see. Ultimately, we'll just have to see. I guess because you guys know that I do art. I like doing art. If you could have a computer that made art in the way that I do, would you like using it? I think I'm of the opinion that if you have respect for me, like as a person and as an artist, as a creative, you probably wouldn't do it. However, that would probably differ if I, say for example, if I died. If I died, I wouldn't be able to make anything anymore, right? So maybe people would be compelled, maybe they would feel like they could keep making things that had my spin on them using a computer. It's kind of a dull thought, kind of a dreary tone to take. There's good and bad things. Good and bad things for sure about the creation of art using AI. I think that at the moment, for artists who feel unsure about their income, who feel unsure about their livelihoods, this sort of thing is very dangerous. It feels very upsetting to see. And I can understand why people would be upset by seeing them. Absolutely. Because it feels like cheating, doesn't it? But technology is improving every day. And unfortunately, the technology to make cohesive images, cohesively drawn / painted / assembled images from an entire body of artwork, that technology is now here. What do you guys think? I think that so long as people, well, us, so long as you value the work made by other human beings, artwork will never fully die. Even traditional mediums, as expensive, as hard as they are to pursue, as long as these things are valuable, as long as things created with human hands, with human input, are valued, they will they will always be worth something to us, but some people would spin the thought that by preserving your art style through AI, it's like having you live on past your life expectancy, which, yeah, doesn't sound right. Thanks, Mario. The other day I saw two people get into a fight because they both used AI to make something and both claimed it was theirs. The line is getting blurry. You see, if you use, say, Midjourney? Is that what it's called? Midjourney? To create artwork, then technically what's made in the site is yours. But it can never be erased, it can never be taken down. It's technically yours to make and do with as you like. But, it's kind of scary territory. You got this, Buns. You too, Ironheart. You got this too. I'm a little though of the opinion. I don't lean towards people like calling themselves artists if they use AI to make something, because especially in the case of like Midjourney, you put in prompts, which are words, which translate into an image. So technically the artist is still the AI, and well, you're telling it to make something, but you're not really making it yourself. I think maybe the line is a bit too blurry on that front. Reminds you of those restaurants and kitchen nightmares that just microwave food. My hot pockets are ready. I'm happy for you. I guess chef is a word for you. Well, there's lots of other circumstances surrounding why people would just heat up food to make ends meet. But yes, if you guys would be so kind, please don't upload my artwork to sites that would use it, like AI. Oh, thank you for the bun huffs redeem. What am I huffing about? I'll huff and then I'll hop away. Huff, I spent way too long talking about these needless things. It's not working well. My huff is disappearing. Cheeks bulging in and out. Hold on. Jag vet. Jag vet. They're interesting topics. AI creations is a scary territory. I don't think using it to make something and call yourself an artist is inauthentic. Well, the day where that happens might come. People might always argue about it, in the same way that there might be people who argue whether photography is an art form or not. I certainly think that you can create some really amazing things with AI, but it's still new stuff. It's still new. I think that artists won't be ready to accept it quite so soon. I think that it does open the door, however, for people who can't draw. Hello, Leon. Is it needless if sharing those thoughts gives us a chance to look through your eyes, though? Is that what you're doing now? Are you looking through my eyes? Are you interested in seeing the world through bun eyes? So many huffs for the price of one. I was trying to do it, but it was so unsuccessful. Aloha to you too, Leon. I was about to head off. We've been having a long talk, a bit longer than I was intending, over probably a number of droll topics. But oh gosh, eyes. I've got eyes. Bun has eyes. Anyway, I hope to continue on our Katawa Shoujo journeys as well. A long talk was always nice with Bun. Do you think so? Bun is pretty boring, but has pretty eyes. It's good for funny memes, but not good for profit. Well, we can only really adjust, can't we? I'm sure the day will come where companies will be like, we have to make this using AI, something rather, because it's more cost efficient. One day unlock the bun route. Bun is so smart and very interesting. Bun is not very smart. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and for a chill time. Well, thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts as well. I don't think I have very good thoughts. Or some of the advice that I have is just like genuinely from the bottom of my heart, but otherwise, you know, it's just droll otherwise. Already saw AI art being used by newspaper articles. It was an AI generated art that won an art contest. Apparently, yes, I think I heard about the latter. Of course, the artists who participated were quite unhappy. Bun is very sweet. That's very kind of you. We are just as always vibing after the Katawa Shoujo plays. I think maybe if possible, I don't know if I'll have time to do a lot of streams next week, but I'll try and hop on and we can continue romancing Hanako, lovely lass. And we'll see otherwise. I think that I am definitely due for making better progress than I have on other to-dos. I might end up just streaming some bland hellos. Bun route soon after Hanako route. I don't know about that. I don't know if there's anything to gain from bun route. I mean, you guys are already here talking to me. What more would you need from a bun route? Right. But thank you for chatting. As always, we... What is bun roots? Thank you. Right. I said I was going to tackle that ivy. I'm more tired out. I'm more tired out by the ivy on my neighbor's garage rooftop than I am by anything I've talked about within these last 2 hours. Weeping. I'm dying inside. So ivy is the true nemesis of Bun. Look, you know, me as any other person, emotionally, I too have my limits, and there are things that I will accept and not accept when it comes to my interactions with others. I can confront people. I'm not afraid of telling people when they've overstepped boundaries, but I can't communicate with the ivy and tell it that it's overstepping its boundaries. Because the ivy doesn't care, guys. The ivy doesn't care. Kana Blue, well, thank you for coming along. I'm sorry, I feel like I've made good progress with the ivy. It's a little bit cold, but I should go out and kill it a little bit more, So when does the ivy war let their allies join, like poison ivy or weeds? If Bun curses the ivy would simply take the research. If only we could light it on fire. Well, I would inevitably be damaging someone else's property by doing so. Not that anyone uses that garage, but it would be too dangerous. I'm sorry, I responded very seriously to that comment, as if you guys weren't talking about casual arson. I too wish that I could just light it on fire. Unfortunately, I don't think it will catch fire very easily, because ivy leaves are very waxy. The sad reality of life is that I can't set the ivy alight because it would damage my neighbor's garage and probably damage my own roof, and the ivy probably wouldn't even burn. It wouldn't even burn. I'm so... We do what we must for the vampire. No, it's okay. I'm sure it's a little awesome between friends. It became very clear you've thought about this before.
Oh, I have. Guys.
How long has it been since I started talking about defeating the ivy on my rooftop?
It's been several months. I feel like it is probably encroaching on a year since I've been trying to get it off my rooftop. Lucky ivy. Is it? Is it lucky?
It gets harsh words from Bun. Ivy doesn't get any harsh words from me. But I have a lot of leaves that I've put into my empty potato sacks that are sitting down by the side of my house. And I think I might just end up emptying them into the corner of my garden. Oh, here's a takeaway. Here's a takeaway for any of you who garden. So I've been hesitating on putting the leaves onto my garden because some of them are still whole, and you're not supposed to put like things that haven't decomposed into your garden directly. Do any of you know why? It's like the argument. Do you know why you shouldn't put lawn clippings directly onto your garden? Gardening lesson from Bun before I go. Because you're rooting the cut. Are you? What does that mean? I also learned this, but the reason why you're not supposed to put lawn clippings directly on your garden is because when things decompose, some of you might know this, some if not most plants clippings will grow if they make contact with soil. You can do it with tree branches. It's because when these things decompose, especially things like grass clippings, it's because they produce heat. The reason why you're not supposed to put lawn clippings directly onto your garden is because when they decompose, they will create heat. And you can burn the roots of your plants. You can literally kill your plants by making it too hot around the ground. That is why you must compost them first. That's why you make compost with things like grass clippings. You can burn your plants by putting raw rubbish onto them. So that's why we compost them first. Now you know. Now you know. That is a Bun's gardening lesson for you today. But since it's been fairly cold, and since it is usually fairly cold around Christchurch, I think that if I leave leaves around the roots of some of the plants, it won't be too big of a deal. It depends on the clippings and whatnot at times too. Thank you, Green Thumb Bun. Trying to impart some good wisdom to you guys after an entire session of talking nothing but nonsense. Well, no, I think that some of the things I say, if you think them valuable or if you think them interesting, and if you could take them to heart, I think that would be I'd be very tickled to be remembered. But otherwise, you can remember that if you put clippings onto your garden will heat up, and that can be dangerous for your plants. Thumbs up. Alrighty. Anyway, I must depart. I stayed for much longer than intended. Yes, thank you for the thumbs up. Lovely to see you all. I wait the day Bun gives advice on how to grow plants. Bun's not that good at growing plants. I wave farewell, folks. No, thank you for coming along to my nothing in particular stream. See you all soon. I don't know when exactly soon, but I'm sure I'll see you again. Take care. Good night.